Bright Simmons of Imani Africa says that the ambulance case, Prosecution of Ato Forson, incompetent and needless. The story is on citinewsroom.com. Let me just get right into that for you. Bright Simmons, Vice President of Imani Africa, has criticized the prosecution of Minority Leader Dr. Ato Forson in the ongoing ambulance case, describing the trial as useless and incompetent. Now, Dr. Forson, a former Deputy Finance Minister, and two others are on trial for allegedly causing financial loss to the state through the importation of 30 ambulances. Now, this forms part of a 2012 contract between the Ministry of Health and Dubai-based firm Big C Limited for the purchase of the ambulances. Now, the prosecution claims Dr. Forson issued letters of credit without authorization from his then boss, Finance Minister Seth Tekpe. However, Mr. Tekpe testified in court that he did indeed authorize Dr. Forson to establish the letters of credit. Now, despite this testimony, the case continues with the third accused, Richard Jakpa, currently being cross-examined. Now, Mr. Simmons has taken to social media posting on X on Saturday, May 25th, to voice his opinion on the matter. Mr. Simmons believes the case is an attempt to silence the minority in Parliament. He insists that letters of credit are not payments themselves, but guarantees to honor or refuse payment based on whether certain conditions are met. And I quote, "I have racked my brains for eons, but still can't understand why this fact, so obvious to every business person, isn't clear to Ghana's Attorney General. The case against the minority leader in Ghana's parliament for authorizing an LC is incompetent. It's not just because of this MP's point, but more importantly, because of what an LC is. An LC is not a simple instruction to pay. It is a guarantee to honor or refuse payment if certain conditions are met or not met. This is a pure political prosecution to muzzle the opposition in Parliament. Luckily, it isn't working," he posted. And that's the story that we have for you. Let me start with you, Paul, on this matter.
Okay. Thank you, Kweku, and once again, good morning to our viewers. Kweku, to begin with, I think that we need to establish what really the case is about. Okay. So two things, two reliefs the AG is seeking at the court. One is whether the vehicles purchased were in accordance with the purchase agreement approved by Parliament. And then secondly, to whether or not the Dr. Ato Forson had the authorization from the then Minister of Finance. I mean, he was the deputy by then. So whether he had the authorization from the Minister of Finance to go ahead and issue that LC that he did. And for all intents and purposes, I think that personally, I am all for accountability. Anything whatsoever that is unaccounted for, I am diametrically opposed to it. Okay. And to the extent that we can establish that indeed the doctor did not have the express permission or the authorization from the Minister of Finance, then he has some questions to answer. But it's been proven in court. Ato himself called the Minister of Finance to testify. And the man testified that he gave express permission to the Deputy Finance Minister to go ahead and issue the LC.
Yeah.
So this is a fact established in court. Not by any means or anything. This is a fact in court. So in the books of the court, it's there boldly that indeed the doctor attained permission from the Minister of Finance to go ahead and then issue that LC that he did. be that as it may, we've heard stories. First, what is the amount involved? We are looking at some 2.3 million euros. And the claim is that when the purchase was done in Dubai, the buses were not fit for the purpose for which they were purchased. In other words, they were just ordinary vehicles with no fitted health instruments in there to qualify as an ambulance. So then, when the government assumed office, they decided that no, we cannot watch for 2.3 million euros to go waste. So that there is a need for us to pursue whether there is any negligence anywhere, whether there is any, if you like, willfully causing financial loss to the state.
Yeah.
But clearly, from all that we've witnessed, from all the witnesses that have come to the court, it is clear abundantly that the doctor really does not have a case. So why the persecution? All right? We are told last year, or was it even this year, that the then chief director has been exonerated somehow, and he's been left off the hook because the AG filed for a nolle prosequi. In other words, it discontinued the case against the chief director of that ministry. And on what grounds? Is it that he did not have any hand in there, or he was also a party to what happened? But clearly we can tell that this is really a no case to begin with.
Okay.
I think that we are just wasting the court's time, and the earlier we begin to push our arsenals in areas that will bring accountability, the better for all of us. There was a minister in place. Ato's duty was to make sure there is some form of sovereign guarantee for what was going to be purchased. Who was the implementing agency? Who was supposed to make sure that the ambulances that were being procured met the required standards? So then it comes back to the health ministry. So it is supposed to be the health ministry who is supposed to make sure that whatever procurement process is strictly adhered to. Were the processes adhered to? That is the first question. And clearly no. And that is why we have come back seeking the court's approval to more or less tag everything at whoever issued the LC. But should that be the way to go? Why are we leaving that side of the coin?
Yeah.
Where there's an implementing agency responsible for the procurement of these vehicles, or if you like, quote and unquote, these ambulances, but they have been left off the hook, and then you have one individual who is claimed to have signed the LC, and so we should push our arsenal to him simply because he is a minority or he is in opposition.
And what I find even more bizarre is that the company, Big C Trading,
General Trading Limited, yes.
They offered, this is a story that appeared on my journal online in June 19th, 2023.
Okay.
They offered to refund the money that so the case is causing financial loss.
Right.
The amount is 2.3 million euros.
Yes.
The company says we will refund the money because you can't make use of the vehicles because they are not up to the
standards and the
standard
requirements.
So we'll refund the money. But government hasn't accepted the refund and the case is still on. So it's kind of strange. I mean, anybody who is watching closely must be befuddled by all of this. I don't understand what's going on.
It just doesn't make sense in the first place. And I agree with my brother's call at Imani, the Venerable Bryce Simmons. I mean, it just doesn't make sense as to why we seem to be paying so much attention to something so feeble, something so little, where we are supposed to be paying attention to, we seem to have left that part. Look, the organization in question has agreed to refund.
Yeah.
Why are we not interested in that bit?
If the case is, if
indeed we want to retrieve the money,
genuine intentions,
yes, is to retrieve the money. So why are we not pursuing it?
Well,
why are we still after an individual who ordinarily, is supposed to give credence to whatever the implementing agency is supposed to do?
And he didn't do it on his own authorization.
Exactly, and he has said even in court that he sought the permission of his boss, i.e. Setekpe at the time. And even in court, during the cross-examination, he did state that he gave the authorization to the deputy minister.
All right, okay.
So clearly it's more or less a witch hunt, if the minority comes to say that indeed he's being witch hunted. That seems to be the case.
Their rights to do that. Okay. Kapje.
Well, in this case, I gather how we have decided to turn away from the delegation of duty, and then also the issue of government being a continuum. The facts of the matter is that the deputy finance minister at the time, who is now the minority leader, according to his boss, who was a minister at the time, Honorable Setekpe, he actually instructed him to act on his behalf, which actually fits perfectly in his role as a deputy minister. You can act instead of your minister. The president can ask you to act on his behalf, and he's accepted, So it's important that when you have acted, the one in whose name you acted would only just say, I asked him to act. And that the laws of the land has invited the then minister to come and speak, and he spoke and said, I asked him to act. That is cleared. The letters of credit, they are not payments. It is a guarantee that if you supply me A, B, C that you have stated on your supply sheet, then I am ready to make this financial payment. So if this water is what you put on the document, if you are delivering per the letter of credit issued, it ties in. If you do not, if you actually supply even more than that, in a very ethically straight, I can say, oh, you have oversupplied. And if you undersupply, I can also say, I have to say, look, you have undersupply. So it's not an automatic thing that when you issue the letter of credit, then, if you stated that you are going to supply me new phones, and you bring a refurbished phone, no matter the looks, if technically it comes out that it's a refurbished phone, I have to reject it. Now the issue of a continuous governance system. Look, the letter of credit was issued in the name of Ghana. So Ghana actually acted, and 2 ministries were involved. Finance issues that letter of credit per instructions from a request from Ministry of Health. In all these, I've not heard anybody's name from the Ministry of Health. They are the direct users of the van. I mean,
except for the chief director.
I'm saying, like, are you still hearing his name? Because the quality of the van, the purpose of the use of the van must come from them. Anything about quality must come from them.
It's their vehicle.
It is their vehicle that they will use. A, B, C, D is what you want to see on that vehicle. You supply, so you will say, the fact that the document that says that, they can supply, somebody from the Ministry of Health should be convinced enough to know that people, those we are dealing with, they supply ambulances. It's not a duty of the Ministry of Finance. No. They have to also be interested. But I'm saying the direct interest must come from Ministry of Health. That this guy supplies ambulances. We've seen people use their ambulances. It's good. We've visited their site. You have to collect about three invoices from 3 separate suppliers. And then pick at least 3. And then select. So you have selected the best. So what you are supplying, you are sending to the Ministry of Finance should be well scrutinized. That is how technical it should be. Then next is to move straightly to look at how significant the deformity can be. Will be the Ministry of Health to tell us. So the letter of credit stands for this document that you brought. What is the trouble that you've signed for? You've seen, ironically, the chief director, the administrative head. You see how we do things in this country. The administrative head of finance ministry is left off the hook. The one who should see that the the minister and the deputy, it gets to them.
They didn't
after,
put the figures together. They
you
didn't.
know, they have to scrutinize what you, the chief director, the administrative head, and the chief director at the Ministry of Health have done. That's they are only the final sayers.
Yeah.
Unless you have a proof to say that you stated at the time he was going to sign that we shouldn't buy it, and he went against that and still went ahead. Then finally, look at the picture it's painting now. This is a clear case of politically going for one person to sacrifice the person. For what? We are listening around how he's actually be chasing them on the issues. So we can see what we are seeing. Look, the worrying revelations is what purportedly one of the accused persons is saying the AG tried to influence, him. When you hear such, then you'll be asking for some things. The way forward, let's go further with the investigations on the letter of credit and check the supply and see the defects. We've done that, right? And then the company, you see, this is a foreign company that said, look, for our image, for our integrity, if you've seen any defects, we are ready to even pay.
Yeah.
2, when you consider the case of delegation of duty, it's settled. We are just adding our voice to it. Consider the case of the AG's attempt. And then finally look at the proceed to court with this case. Instead of rather coming together as colleagues, if I took over from you, and it's not for bad blood, I mean, we should be even on one side, because we are taking it in the name of Ghana, and government is a continuum. So if I issue the LC, and actually the LC comes out that what we actually went for is not what you have gotten, and the supplier says, look, I supplied it. It could be a production defect. We're in the world when Toyota had to withdraw some cars because of their brakes alone. Yeah. This is how quality, they are. When there's a fault, they can withdraw a whole batch. It's no new case. It is as if the company said, no, this is what you requested, and we have supplied you, then that means there's a contention.
Right.
That is where you can have a case like this going on.
Yeah.
But when the company has said, look, in the face of any defects, please bring it back. Yeah. We can make for it. Yeah. Well, for me, my final demand is, just as we follow this one through, I think we should follow the Crow deal too, with such eye. I think also it is time to look at the COVID time when a minister of health said he actually issued monies. We have made payments without the drugs. Look, in 2025, Ghana be there. That's my prediction. On issues of corruption.
All right. If I can handle it.
What's okay?
We are back.
You quickly.
Okay, so he talked about the way forward. I think that since is it Big Deal? No.
Big C
General Trading Limited has offered to refund. I think that our concentration should be pushed towards that side in refunding the 2.37 million euros to the coffers of Ghana. Already we are struggling. We need the money. We need the money.
Who does that?
And so please, we should pursue that. Now, the AG should discontinue the case. We've heard of the issue of the witness, where more or less being coerced to say whatever against
it's purported, actually. Alleged.
It's an allegation. We cannot confirm, but it's still there. It's out there. And then we have seen a press statement from the AG's office and all of that, debunking whatever has been said. But it's still out there. And so we are asking the AG to discontinue the case, or better yet, recuse himself and let somebody else take over from there because of his perceived, that allegation that is.
Could you give me 30 seconds of what he just said? I think Larry Kingston has proved to politicians the way to go.
In resigning.
Yes, the way to go. That gentleman's walk away.
Paul, closing remarks.
Yes. So on that tangent, Kweku, the claim by the AG that the Deputy Finance Minister at the time, in the person of Dr. Forson, did not seek Parliament's approval for issuing the LC from the ministry. 1. And then 2, we have seen the authorization message, if you like, from the Minister of Finance. So it means that even if it is claimed that it should have been a bank issuing the LC on behalf of the ministry and not the Ministry of Finance itself issuing the LC, it means that whoever gave the authorization for the LC to be issued
Is the one
should
who has
rather
to
be held
answering
accountable,
questions.
right?
Yeah.
And not the person who authorized it.
Yes.
It's also a fact that Setekpe has come out to say that he authorized it. What that means is that perhaps he may have rather sought the permission of Parliament, or better yet, informed Parliament of his decision, okay, to issue an LC on behalf of the Ministry of Health, all right, to fund the purchase or the procurement of the 200 ambulances that it wanted from Dubai. Okay, so I don't know why we seem to be on this tangent of always and all the time witch hunting with really nothing to hold on to. So maybe it is high time we took a second look at you know, some of these cases as and when they come up. Because really, if we want the monies, we know where to go get the monies. Let's focus our attention on retrieving the monies, so that since we are begging for peanuts here and there, the 2.37 million euros is something we can hold on to.
All right, Captain, finally.
Yeah, finally, I think we should be careful how we waste time on some of these issues. Respectfully, I say this because when the supplier has clearly said that, you know what, I'm ready to pay, I don't think we should also sidestep any technicalities we thought went wrong. While at it, like you said, let the supplier replace our money, or maybe bring the ambulances. Maybe because of good trade, you know, regulations, we want them to bring the very good ones that we thought would match whatever supply promises and pledges, and then also handle this matter. For me, I say it comes from the Ministry of Health, where they were going to use the van. What did they collect and bring as invoices for it to be considered? I mean, they had a lot of job to do, because here it's about the money. Payment is separate from looking at what we want to get and did what was supply meet the standards. But all in all this, I say, let's be careful, because Ghana is the only country we have. There are very gentle, honest people who want to serve this country, but they have ended up being victimized for fighting corruption. Dom level is always on my mind. Always on my mind. Even after and after, the way he gently, when he was offered money to compensate him, you heard what he said, the love of Ghana. That is what, so we have 1,000 more Dom levels out there, but if we continue doing this, we might end up losing them.
All right.